the CIA. The Central Intelligence Agency, founded on the 18th of September 1947, they are America's main civilian foreign intelligence agency. Basically, their spy agency. Y'all know this. Known for their spies, fighting communists, declassified informations, political assassinations, and overthrowing democratically elected left-leaning third-world leaders and replacing it with a right-wing dictatorship, all in the name of democracy and capitalism, of course. The CIA would do anything for the interests of the United States, even if it involves their own citizens.
I just want to talk about mind control.
In one such instance, to stop the spread of communism and secure American military bases and trade in Asia, the CIA would use one weird tactic to suppress communist rebels in the Philippines, using vampire scares.
Okay, finito.
During the Japanese occupation of the Philippines during World War II, the Partido Komunista ng Pilipinas, or the PKP, would form a guerrilla group called Hukbo ng Bayan Laban sa mga Hapon, or Hukbalahap, or just Hooks, to conduct guerrilla warfare against the Japanese. Under the leadership of Supremo Luis Taro, the Hooks were effective in fighting off the Japanese in Central Luzon, and even collaborated with the Allies and other guerrilla groups, but viewed with suspicion. And their contribution was remarkable for the Allies' war efforts. The Hooks, being communist-aligned, were also fighting against greedy landlords of Central Luzon, who historically were exploiting the peasant class viciously. Many of whom even collaborated with the Japanese because, of course, they did. Unsurprisingly, many of the peasant class are in support of the Hooks, who would then give land they seized from those landlords to the peasantry. As the war ended, despite their contribution, the Hooks were not recognized by the American government as a legit guerrilla group, stripping the Hooks of their honor and rewards. Cause you know, it's the Cold War. Also, the landlords whose lands that were seized by the Hooks were placed back on power and retrieved the land that they once owned. When the Philippines was about to gain independence in 1946, Luis Taro and other Hooks participated in the 1946 general election and won seats in the House of Representatives. But they were barred by the new Philippine government from taking those seats. After going back and forth with negotiations and it falling apart, as you might imagine, all of this did not sit well with the Hooks. They changed their name to Hukbong Magpapalaya ng Bayan and returned back to the mountains of Sierra Madre and continued fighting, this time the new Philippine government. The Philippine government and military under President Manuel Rojas retaliated heavy-handedly against the Hooks, which also resulted in civilians and the peasantry getting killed from the crossfire between these two camps, especially those who were sympathetic to the Hooks, which just gives the Hooks more justification for their rebellion. And to not look like a communist or, God forbid, get ragtag, the Hooks had grown to 11,000 to 15,000 and has expanded to southern Luzon. Do understand that many of the Hooks aren't really that hype with the Marx-Lenin stuff, and that's more on the PKP. Most fighters are more concerned about their land being taken and getting pushed around by the landlords and the new government. Because of this expansion of the group from their grassroots campaign in the countryside to other parts of the country, some Hook members did engage with crimes like robbery, murder, assassination, tax collecting, alienating some of the peasants from the group.
I am the spy. I'm afraid not. I am the spy.
As you guys can tell, the Hooks are a problem for the Filipino government and the Americans. So, then President Elpidio Quirino would request help from Edward Lansdale to deal with the Hooks. He came to the country as a military advisor, but is actually the head of the CIA operations in the country. Ed Lansdale worked on advertising back in San Francisco before joining the OSS and becoming an officer in the US Air Force. Arriving to the Philippines under the new Quirino government, Lansdale noticed that the government and the military was riddled with corruption
I'm not involved.
and was pretty incompetent and bad in fighting the hooks. So, with his experience working on advertising, he had some bizarre yet successful ways of manipulating the human mind. He organized the Civil Affairs Office to go deal with the hooks. One thing to note about Filipino culture is that the people are very superstitious and believes in the supernatural. With this, the team went out to the villages to gather information about the local folklore of the area. On a cloudy day, Lansdale's men flew a small plane hiding in the clouds over hook positions with loudspeakers on and chanted Tagalog curses to dissuade sympathizers from helping the hooks. And sure enough, many hooks turned themselves over because they were starving.
3 days!
Another one of the tactic of Lansdale was the Eyes of God. The team would identify the homes of villagers aiding the hook rebels, and on the brink of night, the team would paint eyes on the walls adjacent to the villagers' houses. So when they wake up in the morning, they will see the eyes staring down at them and have a quote-unquote sharply sobering effect. And now we get to the vampires. Kind of? Now, the actual creature we're talking about here is the aswang. An aswang in Filipino cryptology has different forms from places to places. But in general, they're these humanoid monsters, sometimes close to human, sometimes more grotesque and monstery, who sucks blood from their victims using their long-ass tongues, like butterflies. And of course, Lansdale was going to use this folklore to his advantage. In this operation, the team would spread rumors about an aswang sighting near the area the hooks were hiding in. Soon enough, the rumors would reach the hooks themselves. One night, the team would kidnap a hook patrol and cap him. They punctured 2 holes on the neck of the hook and hung him upside down by his feet and bled out, and waited for other hook members to find the body. And soon enough, upon discovering this grim and bizarre sighting, hooks in that area fled. Great success! While Lansdale's unusual tactics were a success on its own right, it still wasn't enough to stop the Hukbalahap rebellion completely. As mentioned before, the government was rotten to the core, from the top officials down to the common policeman.
Some of the government, some of it is pretty corrupt.
With that, public trust to the government, especially for the landless peasants, was on the gutter. So yeah, a lot of the leadership was ass. Except for one outlier, Ramon Magsaysay. Ramon Magsaysay was appointed by the Quirino administration as its defense secretary. As defense secretary, Ramon Magsaysay was very successful in his military campaigns against the Hook rebels. He worked together with Lansdale throughout their operations, and they came up with a brilliant strat to quell the rebellion once and for all, by being an actual good government.
From then on, we adopted unorthodox methods in fighting the communists, or rather the hooks in this country. First, we reorganized the demoralized Philippine army. Then we have to win over the civilian to the side of the government. Then we adopted a policy, all-out military force and all-out friendship.
Lansdale would meet up with these government officials and throw some ideas of good governance to lure the hooks away from fighting, like the Economic Development Corps and the National Economic Mobilization. The idea was by actually providing the hooks and the peasantry a government that actually hears and reaches out to them, then the point of rebelling will be pointless. Who would have thought? Magsaysay purged the military of its corrupt and inefficient leaders. And stop the harassment of the peasantry. In the 1st of September 1950, Ramon Magsaysay would later be elected as the 7th President of the Philippines, with the help of the CIA of course. The CIA even had a plan to stage a coup just in case he didn't win. Many more psych wars continued, such as Lansdale's radio broadcasting pro-government messaging and justifications for their action, and infiltration of government soldiers disguised as hooks causing trouble in the countryside. By early 1950s, the hooks were on the decline, with government reforms having the peasants turn away their support for the hooks. Magsaysay's successful military campaign on fighting the rebels, hook supplies running out, and hook leaders either dead, arrested, or too old. The group was estimated to have gone down to 3,000 fighters. President Magsaysay would then send Ninoy Aquino Jr. as an emissary to have talks with the hook commander Luis Taruk. And after months of negotiations, Luis Taruk surrendered, thus ending the Hukbalahap rebellion. And that's the story of CIA vampires versus Filipino communists. After finishing his role in the Philippines, Lansdale would later continue his weird tactics in Vietnam and partake on Operation Mongoose. Ramon Magsaysay would continue his presidency, even having his era dubbed as the Golden Age. That's why he's the GOAT! Do keep in mind, while it was an honest election, his presidency is pretty much guided by the CIA. Many of his speeches were even written by the CIA. Unfortunately, he did not finish his term as he would die on a plane crash in the 17th of March 1957.
Say you swear to God!
As for Luis Taruk, he was put in prison for 12 years, which was pretty lenient in my opinion considering this is the CIA we're talking about. Later on, he would even get a pardon from Ferdinand Marcos Sr. himself. Luis Taruk would even state that he was not really even a communist to begin with, but more of a Christian democratic socialist. He would pass away in the 4th of May 2005. In 2017, the National Historical Commission of the Philippines would officially recognize Luis Taruk as a hero, citing his role as a nationalist and defender of the rights of farmers and workers. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching.